Okie dokie. Well, today is the day for Canada. Prime Minister Mark Carney is stepping into the biggest stage, meeting with the biggest boss there is in the world, the President of the United States, Donald Trump. And in the past 10 years, we haven't had a very good kind of relationship with the president because Trudeau was very weak, very, very, very weak. And so now all eyes are not only on Trump, but also on Carney. Can Carney actually deliver? I mean, he campaigned and just won this election based off of Trump is bad, relations with America are over as we know it, and Canada is going to be free and independent of basically doing business with America. It's over with America is how he's branding it. Yet here he is in the Oval Office where it's in fact not over. So if any liberals that are watching this, congratulations, you found yourself on the other side of the political spectrum. But nonetheless, we will accept you with open arms as long as you have some buyer's remorse, because I think there's going to be a lot of people that have buyer's remorse. A lot of people. In fact, part of the whole campaigning for the conservative, we're kind of loud, for Carney was the fact that the 51st aid comments are bad and Trump and the tariffs are bad and everything needs to change. Yet here we are, Trump basically just humiliates Carney, a little spoiler alert, by quite literally saying the 51st comment to his face. So yeah, buckle in. This is going to be a good one. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this interview and start to dissect it a little bit.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take vote credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. You know? But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest.
So right out the gate, Trump has never given that type of compliment. Like, you have done something where your comeback story is greater than mine. So right out the gate, that's quite the compliment from America to Canada.
And I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person. As we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. You see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. You know, we handle it with great love and 24-karat gold. That always helps too. Right? But it's been a lot of fun. We're going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many, many years, in some cases over 100 years. They were stored in vaults of the great presidents, or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up, every one of them. So it's very interesting. But I just want to congratulate you, and ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent. And I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do.
Mark, first name basis.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated. But more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore, and that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just a canal, it was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay? Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation mission. These are, a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping. And the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar. And that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. And I won't tell you on what. But it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Looks lost.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and
Hey, liberals, anybody getting buyer's remorse? You guys elected a guy who was supposed to stand up to Trump because he's so bad, and here they are getting along like they're BFFs. Oh, this 4 years is going to be incredible to see the relationship between America and Canada grow. I don't like that it's a liberal. I really don't. But I do want this country to prosper. And so if they are at least getting along, it means maybe things in Canada might be a little bit better. But that's not what the liberals voted for. The liberals voted to elect somebody who's going to stand up to Trump. And you can see that that's not happening.
And securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement. Anybody?
Wow, so many questions.
No, it was actually very effective, and it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit, and as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was a transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose. And the biggest purpose it served is we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. Very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States. Would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in the world?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up in a sense through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship.
But that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And no, I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, how good, the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of. He is a big, tough cookie too. Just broke the record, and he's a great guy. And we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players.
So as you can see, the entire pitch that the Liberals were doing and all of the rhetoric that America and Canada are going to be enemies, and it's just not going to happen. Don't get me wrong. This could be good for Canada, like relationships with America. It sucks that it's Carney. Obviously, I would rather Pierre. But if this means that, hey, relationships are going to be good with America, then okay, good. Like, that's good for our country. That's good for me. It's good for you. It's good for our kids and future generations, right? But it's just funny that this isn't what the Liberals voted for. They didn't vote for BFFs. They voted for booing the American anthem. They voted for taking American liquor off the shelves, right? They voted for turning the power off to 1.5 million homes. Like in America, they voted for a combative stance against America. They didn't vote for this. This is what I wanted. I would have rather it to be Pierre. This is probably what you wanted too. Good relationships with America, the big dog. Why are we trying to piss them off? They run the world, and they just so happen to be our neighbor. This could be good for us in the future. Don't get that mistaken. But it's just, you're going to see Liberals start to get angry because you had a lot of anti-Trump rhetoric going on, and you're not seeing anti-Trump right now. You're seeing playful jibber jabber relationships. So I think you're going to start to get some buyer's remorse, which is just going to be hilarious.
But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada. But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may. As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the President just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership, and I'll say this as well, that the President has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
True. And they have.
Look, I said that if Carney comes in here and gets blasted and is made to be a fool, then I would call it out. And it's kind of funny that Trump again just trolled him right to his face about the 51st state. I do genuinely like that because that's a little humiliating for Mark Carney. But from where Mark Carney was, and this might be unpopular, but again, it's the truth. From where Mark Carney was a few months ago when he was the illegitimate prime minister to where he is now with his speech, there's been some improvements. He's done some media training. He's done some speech training, less ums and ahs, at least right now sitting with the president, which is the biggest press conference he's ever done in his entire life. More eyes are on these two right now in the Oval Office than even on the election when he was dancing his little chicken dance. All right. So for Canada's reputation, I don't like Mark Carney, right? I don't like his policies, but at the same time, even though I've got the sticker Trudeau 2.0, he's doing an okay job distancing himself from Trudeau and the Trudeau brand. I don't like the guy, but I'm just being honest here, right? At least it's less embarrassing for Canada, because with Trudeau, man, that was really bad, getting called Governor Trudeau right to his face and stuff like that. So this is a bit of a step up. Wish it was Pierre, I really do, but at least it's half decent for Canada so far.
They have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
He's going around saying never.
What would it take to get the tariffs top of Canada?
Well, we'll be talking about different things. Like, we want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, ANWR has been reopened now. ANWR is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use and more than we could ever sell, actually. And you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say never. I've had many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens. China.
I was hoping you can clarify something. Earlier this morning in Capitol Hill, Secretary Bessent said that there had been no negotiations yet with China. You have said something different.
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now. And those ships are turning around in the Pacific Ocean. Big turn. Those are big ships. Those ships take about 10 miles to turn. And, we lost $1 trillion to China on trade because of an incompetent president that we had who preceded me, grossly incompetent. You're finding it out more and more now. And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate, and they want to have a meeting, and we'll be meeting with them at the right time.
But you haven't met with them yet.
I have not met with them, no, of course. You would know if I met. I'd tell you they want to meet. But, we are right now, look, they're suffering greatly. Their economy is suffering greatly because they're not doing trade with the U.S. And they made most of their money off the U.S. Don't kid yourself. They don't make the money off other countries like this. And we had a trade imbalance. We had a deficit, or they had a surplus, another way of saying it, of more than $1 trillion. Think of it, more than $1 trillion. And because of 145%, that's the only reason, but because they have now 145% tariff, there's no trading. You can't trade with 145%. We are, therefore, making, in a certain way, I guess, $1.1 trillion. In other words, we're not losing $1.1 trillion. Our deficit is much better. When I started, I say we were losing billions of dollars a day on trade. That's rapidly turning around. We looked at numbers this morning. So we were losing, the United States during Biden was losing more than I won't even give you numbers because they're so embarrassing, but billions of dollars a day on trade. Those numbers are rapidly turning between the tariffs. Don't forget, we're now getting 25% on cars, 25% on aluminum, 25% on steel, and maybe more importantly, massive numbers of companies are moving into the United States. Honda, we have the car companies are moving in at levels we've never seen before. The biggest investment ever made in the United States is being made right now. Trillions of dollars. I would say we could be at $9 trillion. You could go back to other presidents. They haven't had $1 trillion for their entire term. Look at Biden. He had bad numbers. People were leaving. They weren't coming in. They were leaving with Biden, and he didn't know the difference. The only thing he knew is people coming in. You know who they were? Illegal immigrants, okay, from prisons, from mental institutions, from all sorts of places that weren't good, from gangs, from Venezuela. They were coming in and they were criminals and murderers. 11,888 people that murdered, and at least half of them murdered more than one person. This is what Biden led into our country. I'm bringing in big companies. We have Apple is investing $500 billion. We have Jensen, as you know, is going to be biggest chip maker, or chip thinker, I call him. He's really a thinker more than a maker. But we also have the maker, Mr. Wei. I get to know them all in it was a cram course. But they're all moving into America because of the tariffs. And I don't think people have appreciated it. Some people do. Some of the smart people do. So we have more money coming in. It's really an amazing thing. We have more money being invested in the United States now than at any time ever before in our history, and it's not even close. And I think the real number could be 9 or 10 trillion. We don't know everybody that's doing it. We have many. I just heard about a plant that's being built right now, a very, very top-of-the-line company, and they didn't come to the White House. They're just doing it because they're making it, because if they build here, there are no tariffs. And this is the big market. This is the market. That sets us apart from it. This is the market where everyone wants to be. Now, if I didn't come here and do this, all of a sudden we wouldn't be the market where everyone wants to be. So we're able to do it in time. But we're going to have a great announcement. And I'm not necessarily saying it's on trade. Going to the beginning, we're going to have a great announcement over the next few days, an announcement that will be so incredible, so positive. And I'm not saying, I don't want you to think it's necessarily on trade. Just to finish, we also have a situation, because everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? We don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals right now, Howard, if we wanted. We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market. We don't care about their market. They want a piece of our market. So we can just sit down, and I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks, and I'll sit with Howard and Scott and with our great vice president, who has done a really good job. We have some good news to report on a lot of fronts. But JD will be there, and Marco, and we're going to sit down and we're going to put very fair numbers down, and we're going to say, here's what this country, what we want, and congratulations, we have a deal. And they'll either say, great, and they'll start shopping, or they'll say, not good, we're not going to do it. I said, that's okay, you don't have to shop. Now, we may think, well, they have a right, that maybe we were a little bit wrong, so we'll adjust it. And then you people will say, oh, it's so chaotic. No, we're flexible. But we'll sit down, and we'll at some point, in some cases, we'll sign some deals. It's much less important than what I'm talking about. For the most part, we're just going to put down a number and say, this is what you're going to pay to shop. And it's going to be a very fair number. It'll be a low number. We're not looking to hurt countries. We want to help countries. We want to be friendly with countries. But you keep writing about deals. When are we going to sign? When? It's very simple. We're going to say, in some cases, we want you to open up your country. In some cases, we want you to drop your tariffs. I mean, India, as an example, is one of the highest tariffs in the world. We're not going to put up with that. And they've agreed already to drop it. They'll drop it to nothing. They've already agreed. They would have never done that for anybody else but me. So
I think you're going to start to see Mark Carney really shift his attitude soon. And chances are Canada is going to lower tariffs on America, and America will reciprocate that. And we're going to go back to a better trade deal, no tariffs. And I do truly think that that you're going to start to see better relationships with America and Canada in the coming weeks or months. Now, is this because it's Mark Carney? I don't know, man. There's ties out there that, there's ample evidence to show that there's real ties between Mark Carney's Brookfield Management Company and Trump. And so people have, put out videos, investigative videos saying that they were in this together all along. And chances are they were. I mean, Trump plays with the billionaire boys, and Mark Carney is in that same group. That's all of his clients. And so the people that Trump on the private end, not politicians, but on the private end is trying to schmooze up to and get their businesses booming in America. That's why Brookfield Management is partly in America, is to play ball with Trump, right? Maybe it's better tax bracket, escape Canadian taxes, whatever the case is. And so are they in cahoots? Probably. Does this mean that relationships between Canada and America are going to get better? Probably. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to congratulate Mark on anything yet, but he definitely is a better step, forward than what Justin Trudeau is. Again, obviously bummed that Pierre didn't win, but I'm not going to sit here and just randomly, for the sake of saying, oh, screw you, Carney, this is embarrassing. I mean, it was a half decent interview. It's a little embarrassing, the fact that Trump is talking about 51, the fact that Carney is able to say never 51, we can work this out through good trade, but we're not for sale. I mean, that's good, right? Do we want to be 51st state? I mean, I think there's a lot of people in the comments that do. I obviously would rather stay Canada, but we're going to have to see how this does play out. I think this is going to be, I think we're heading in a path where news and politics might be a little bit more boring, which brings it back to a sense of normalcy. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know, but half decent interview, right? Way better than Trudeau. Not as good as what it would have been with Pierre, but way better than Trudeau. And at least that's a step in the right direction. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. What do you think about the interview? What do you think about the 51st states made directly to Carney's face? I think it was pretty bold and very Trumpy of Trump to do that, Trump-esque, as some people might like to call it. But all around, half decent. I mean, I'll give them that. Half decent. That's the end of the video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later on. Bye for now.